Good. Can call the meeting to order.
We do not have a quorum yet, so if we have a quorum later, so the only thing that to vote on is the minutes, but if we get a quorum later, we'll just vote on it later, in case Bree's running late. So, public comment?
So go ahead, public comment.
No presentations.
On the minutes, I had some discussion to have around the minutes, not changing minutes, because they're fine, but about talking about the topic of the cleanup and what the numbers are showing. So I'm not sure where that fits in this agenda.
I usually don't put it in there just because things change. So we ended up having a couple corrections with the totals after the meeting. I don't remember if you saw that email. There was, forget the name, but they said they weren't participating with the RTC. They were doing it as a family.
Yep.
And it's more so of if it's kids or something like that. I don't want to put the names in the minutes.
Right.
So that's something I normally just leave out.
This is kind of more general things. Do you want to talk about it now, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, the only so IT actually had to edit the YouTube, so the meetings get posted to YouTube, and IT had to pull it and cover up all the names and everything because it got flagged automatically by YouTube.
Oh, the thing that Sarah sent for us to watch?
No.
Oh.
The list of people's contact information or anything like that, YouTube automatically took it down, so our IT department had to go through and obscure all of that.
Okay.
So that's why I don't usually put names and stuff like that, especially for like kids and stuff in
That's fine.
minutes.
That's fine.
And the totals, it's more because trying to do the minutes first, then working out the totals, because there was also stuff I had to get to the commenter notice that week as well.
Well, my first comment is that when we look at the minutes, and the total is 4,660 pounds.
Yep.
We said that was kind of good, and that's a false figure. That's how many pounds the trucks took out. And if you take a look at the number of pounds people brought in, it's 2,526. And not quite half of what they're saying, but it's considerably less. Now, a lot of that's because, I don't know about other places, people brought in just regular garbage and threw it in our trucks. And the Congregational Church, in our case, Tungus Hose, was a big factor in that. They were loaded in books.
Every year.
And it's not a problem, we'll get their stuff out. Yeah. It's just that you need to look at the number of pounds that actually got collected.
Right. And the difference being is that total that we have in the spreadsheet doesn't count items over 25 pounds. Right. So if it weighs...
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Oh, no. It doesn't count. Yes, you're right.
So if you bring a toilet that weighs 50 pounds, I don't know how much.
Yeah, yes.
I know there was a toilet collected.
Right. And on the other side, the truck doesn't include all the stuff taken by the Lions Club.
Right. And cans and bottles don't weigh that much unless you have a lot of them.
Yeah, we had a lot of them.
Yeah. The aluminum is lightweight, so. Yeah, I think.
I think that the difference between those two things are significant. The other thing that in prior years, we used to have a list of prizes we went in for, not who gave you the prizes, but rather who earned prizes. And it used to be prizes to the largest civic organization that donated. There was prizes for the scholarship or school program donated. We had programs for the youth program, prizes for the youth programs. All those things were laid out. And when I see the prizes we handed out, one of the things that struck me is, other than the two political parties, there weren't any civic organizations that took place. I don't know where they all went, but they didn't. When I took a look at the scholastic organizations that took place, the volleyball team helped out, and that was it.
Normally, Ms. Porter's, but no,
I
yeah,
do too.
no, it was their long weekend this year, so
This is the first
I know.
ever.
I had emailed Ms. Porter's to notify them about the cleanup, and they said it was their long weekend, so no one was on campus to participate that
What,
weekend.
they weren't on campus before then?
No, they can't,
Yeah, they don't, yeah.
John, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? They're.
So I know this
When I look
year,
at businesses, we only had two businesses participating.
Yeah, BBM Paps always wins.
Yep.
I mean, they kick it out of the park.
Well, they give their employees time off.
Doesn't matter.
Right, but they, and I'm not complaining about them, I'm complaining about not having more.
I know, and this is a yearly problem.
I mean, we had more than one company participate, we had the group in, TDC Specialty in Unionville participated this year, they haven't participated before. We also had, an architecture firm in Unionville participate, but they did it after cleanup day, so they weren't counted.
Okay.
Great.
I forget their name, but it's, Tim Eagle's, company, in Rivers Edge Plaza. So I gave them supplies Monday morning, and I picked them up Tuesday morning,
Okay.
after the cleanup, so they didn't get counted. They still helped clean up, and then they coordinated with Highway to collect the trash. So I think part of it is marketing and starting a little earlier. I think this year we were a little off with, between elections in the fall, everyone got appointed. We missed our January meeting because no one was appointed yet for leadership roles, so we started in February and that stuff. So I think trying to coordinate marketing better with the Economic Development Department, which has an email list that goes to businesses, so we can send that out to businesses and, hey, if you want to participate, doing that would probably be better than just putting it in the newsletter, because the newsletter just goes to town residents. Not to say we shouldn't put it in the newsletter.
Yeah, it needs to. Yeah, Rose has done that in the past, and we didn't get a bump, unfortunately, but I think it's worth trying. She gets so much readership now.
Yeah, and
I think she's really caught on.
she's got someone helping her too, so
Yeah.
it goes out a little more often.
Yeah,
So sending it out in late March might help, especially before,
plan,
yeah, and a
a
lot
calendar.
of plan to do community service acts
Right.
anyway. It's just depending on who gets to them first to get them to volunteer.
And also, when I took a look at the number of families that participated, and the number of individuals participated, they just weren't as many as they have been in previous years.
It could have been the weather.
Could have been
It rained in the
weather.
morning. Last year was a beautiful day all day, and I know the Tunkus truck got filled up first thing in the morning.
And I think, again, what we need to do is to continue to push on people that said, this isn't a one-day event. You can go out on Friday, you can go out on Wednesday, you can go out any of those days and pick up trash. So the fact that it rained that morning for a short period of time shouldn't have this many people not participate. Again, just an observation that, I'm thinking that, we need to do something to beef up the number of people who are participating. The other thing, this is just kind of a side note, when I looked at the, prizes that we handed out a prize to the First Church. But I didn't see anybody on the list that said they were picking up for the First Church.
Did. It was a group of people. I don't have the sheet in front of me. It was, like 3 or 4 people, that had signed in, and then off to the side, they wrote First Church. So all their totals were added together as a group.
Oh. I didn't see it when I went through.
I know it's on the sheets in there, I just don't have it bring it down with me.
Were they from, Farmington Fire?
Yeah. Right there, this group.
Oh, that little,
Yeah.
this means
Yeah.
congregational. I thought it was just a,
No, they were grouping together.
all right.
Someone told me it was,
I mean, now that you say that, then now it makes sense, because one of my other comments was Jill Hammerberg picked up a lot of trash, and she didn't get an award.
right,
No.
I think Stacy actually said it was First Church, if I remember, because she's on
Yeah.
the board, or she's a member, I don't
Yeah,
remember
that's
what it was. Something like that, so, but she's the one that told us they had collected for First Church, because she knew where. So,
All right, those are my comments.
all right, we'll skip over minutes for tonight, because we don't have a quorum right now. Public education, Bree had sent 2, newsletter articles to the group. One is a pass on plastic, about reducing plastic waste in your home, and I'll resend these with the minutes tomorrow. So I'll look to get this in the summer newsletter. She sent another one for composting, but I don't know if we'll have enough space in, oh no, I'm sorry. This is not a newsletter, this is a report, on some of the research she's done on composting program in West Hartford.
Right.
So is there any movement with the town to get involved in this organization?
Not right now.
Well, we had them come, they talked to us.
Yeah, so
years ago.
and I talked to them a few months ago, just to get an idea of what programs they offer. I got still have to meet with the works director and the highway superintendent, because they're the ones that actually would be the ones administering the program. To start, it probably won't be a mandatory program, it'll be voluntary, just kind of marketing, that Blue Earth as a service in town. I know currently they've got 70 to 80 households, and that's with no marketing being done on our part or their part, it's just people interested in it.
Right.
So that's better than most towns that are trying to get this started, so that's a good start for us. But starting as a voluntary program first, to figure out what the interest is in it before expanding. It's not super expensive, it's another cost, so it depends on how much money. I think it's like $130 for 6 months or something.
Yep.
It's not a ridiculous figure. Problem is, because Farmington doesn't do pay as you throw, it doesn't actually save you any money, on your own. So,
Do you have a sense whether it would change or, here we are, Councilwoman. I'm sorry, beautiful. We were talking about your.
Trash talk.
What?
We're just talking about trash talk.
Oh, trash. Right.
what was that, Kate? I'm sorry.
Whether we did if we do it here, whether it will offset what our tipping costs are of it, or have increased?
And the problem is it's an unknown, because
Right.
we know X amount of waste is food waste, but how much of that will people actually compost? You still have to make the effort to put it in the compost bin, as opposed to just, but if you're on sewer, most people have garbage disposal, shred it and it goes to the treatment plant and gets treated there.
Which is so bad.
But the convenience of just
I hear
putting it
you.
off your plate into the
Yeah,
sink.
yeah.
I mean, we do have a fair amount of people on septic in town as well, which you can't have I think there's like a system now, but you're
Right.
really not supposed to have
Garbage disposal.
yes, thank you. Brain fart. But you're really not supposed to do it, or you're supposed to pump your tank more often, so there's that
Right.
cost there. So until we know how many people would be participating and that would actually reduce the cost or anything like that, I do know, in speaking with Blue Earth, that the prices they advertise on their website, which I think is like $130 for 6 months, is based on a person signing up. That's what they have to do to break even with their cost. The more residents you have sign up, the more the cost goes down. So obviously,
We could do like a project where they'll do that with us, like
Yeah.
have them sign up through us.
yeah, so
to
they
Blue Earth.
can do some they can run some numbers. I think we've got 7,000 something trash accounts in town, so that's residential.
7,000, so not everybody gets their trash.
No, so like condos, private developments, private road usually don't get town. We've got 7,250 service accounts, which is the trash bill everyone pays for. So, figuring out if 20% of those people, what's the cost? It's 40%.
Yeah.
And it's, as we've talked about in the past, part of it is starting in the school system, which we'll get to, in the next section, of starting in the school system, so that way kids are familiar with it, they know what to do, they know what goes where.
And they know how to
Bringing
pressure
that-
their parents.
Exactly. And then bringing that home, getting your family to do it, and everything like that.
Right.
Obviously, there's not 7,200 households with kids, so
It's a lot.
Yeah, so obviously that changes it, but
Yeah.
it's still, you know, starting to get some people to do it.
Right.
And then obviously, like I said, if it brings down the cost, maybe more people will do it,
Mhm.
depending on your
I
budget.
know we did that with energy, evaluations of homes, that was
Right.
several years ago, that, you know, like an incentive plan.
Yeah, there's the,
Yeah.
direct energy.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, it's how Green
And
Efforts
also
gets
our, we
funded.
did the big solar push too. and-
Right, so
This would be great.
yeah, so, and Blue Earth does have marketing material and things like that, so it's really just, when we wanna start moving, you know, start looking into it.
Yeah.
I did reach out to, Hartford's Public Works Director,
Mhm.
because they're doing a survey right now, town residents, with their interest for trash, to get a copy of the questions that are being asked, so that way we can take a look at that. So maybe that can be something in line up with like one of the newsletters, maybe in the fall or something, to get a better idea.
They're doing a presentation, this Saturday, which unfortunately I can't go to, but I've asked one of the people who's organizing it to send me whatever information.
Yeah, so, because they
I
did the.
guess it's the town council's gonna vote on it.
Yeah, so they were one of the towns that got, they were one of the towns that got pilot funding from DEP, and it was 400, I think it was 400 homes participated. But that was, I think it was a separate bag system.
Yes, I think they have an orange bag.
Yeah, it's an orange,
They're trying to get people to separate out. I think there's a bucket for the compost, and then there's an orange bag for, I'm not quite sure what else, but, it's interesting, in Seattle, they have 3 different size garbage bins. So you must be, the smallest one is what you put your garbage in.
Mhm.
So the medium is, you know, they just grade them. Recyclable is better than, you know, than garbage, which is,
Right.
you know, and then the composting is.
I mean, so personally, the town I live in does not, for everyone, you gotta contract out to have your trash collected, and you can pay a different price for the trash can. The recycling bin's the same, it's the big one,
Mhm.
and then you can get paid to have a smaller bin, so you,
Mhm.
you know, obviously, recycling only gets bigger every 2 weeks, but the point is that hopefully you're recycling more than you're throwing out.
Right. Interesting, talking to the people in West Hartford, what sort of incentive do you create for people to participate? It never dawned on me that people wouldn't want to participate. But she said, we have quite a high participation rate in this study area of 50%, and I thought, well, that's pathetic. She said, no, that's actually quite. And I think part of it is what's new and what's, you know, kind of gross, separating out your, you know, I could see people thinking that. I mean,
Right. Like I said, some people, it's just easier just to
Right,
miss things and
right.
put it in the garbage disposal.
Now, what's the
Right.
problem with them putting, vegetables into the sink and garbage disposal? Goes into the
It's
sewer,
it's-
goes down to the,
Yeah, different materials, different solids and stuff like that making its way to the treatment plant. You know, some people depends on how good your garbage disposal is, some people put chicken bones and stuff like that, doesn't really get processed or anything like that, it just ends up in the sludge that comes out at the end. So it's the treatment train, that goes through at the plant. I don't know enough, I mean, I don't know if Jennifer would know more.
It goes to the grid chamber, and it gets landfilled.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
All
the,
those heavy stuff, and
Yeah.
then the rest of, the organic, like vegetables and stuff, that'll be decomposed in, depending on which type of system it is. If it's anaerobic or aerobic with digesters, or just through the system itself, oxidation.
right, so the bottom line is that it puts a tax on the water purification plants. So it creates a problem in that there's more energy that's required now to care for the water so that you can drink it. And so if we can keep that out of the water stream, you know, all in all, it ends up decreasing energy usage. So, and also, any of the compost that's collected gets repurposed. Right, so it's very hard to repurpose what comes out of a water purification plant because of all the stuff that people put down toilets, their sinks, wherever it is. And their drugs are putting their,
composting is the opposite, because it goes
Right,
to the
exactly.
anaerobic digester and stuff.
Right.
Something in, that gets
Precisely.
turned into methane,
And
which
they-
turns into power,
yeah, right,
and you get
right.
It's a win-win.
power and you get soil, so.
And you can put your chicken bones in the compost.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, you can do all that stuff.
Fish
all-
bones.
Yeah, everything that you put on your plate.
Yeah, I should just let you say.
I know.
Yeah.
You know about how the,
I was licensed in New York State and Connecticut for drinking water, wastewater treatment before I became a teacher. I had 20 years in it.
Ah,
oh,
an expert.
People put a lot of things down their toilets.
Yes, they do.
yeah.
But, and as far as the septic goes, you don't want to put that stuff down. Now, the new tanks actually have an extra baffle wall that'll separate out those vegetables and solids like that. Yeah.
And there's special garbage disposals you can get that have an enzyme cartridge that adds it when you're grinding it.
It still has to go through a purification.
Right, and then it just goes in
And
the
then the
tank.
thing is
It still
used.
gets pumped out.
It's useless.
Into
It's
another
energy
tank,
loss,
And then it goes back to the.
and it's energy
plant.
consuming.
I thought for a while Farmington was actually repurposing that sludge and selling it.
Could they?
I thought they were too.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
fertilizer.
Yeah.
Fertilizer.
God,
You'd be-
but think of
you
the
could
You'd be
see
thing.
amazed how
You know
clean.
that. You know
how
what's in
clean
it.
that stuff is afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
If
drugs,
you're doing their job right, huh? Drugs?
all the meds and chemicals that
A lot
people,
of that stuff dissipates,
pour
and
out.
it's only degradation. Like when it goes and hits the river, just
there's
say,
no testing for that.
well,
Honestly, they're not,
Well,
yeah, it depends,
right?
it depends.
let's not
Where
even
you
get started on
Yeah.
PFAS and things like that.
It depends where you are, what water system's going into.
I didn't even know this plant still functioned, because you used to be able to smell it at the time.
You still can.
Oh, I haven't.
When you drive by Route 4, on Route 4.
still bubbling
Yeah.
in the water there.
Oh.
Now,
Oh.
I don't know about I don't go in the water, but I know you can drive, you know, if you drive by it on a warm day and with the windows down, you can smell it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that weird smell.
Earthy,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not,
Thank you,
yeah,
earthy, kinda.
must be earthy.
yeah.
Oh.
Moving right along.
Yeah, anyway, all right.
Come on, Karen.
Hey, I'm trying.
So Bree, I'll put in, the plastic letter for
Okay.
the summer newsletter. I haven't gotten the date yet, but I
Okay,
just checked my email from last year, and it was like late June, I think was the
Okay.
deadline.
okay. I
Um,
mean, that's very long, and if anybody else has anything they want to add,
yeah, so I'll check with the town manager's office on that.
do you think we could have an extra space?
I can check. I haven't had a chance to talk to them yet.
Okay. I think we should have a page every newsletter, really, honestly.
And
Like-
could, and could we not have it on our website? Could there be like
We can,
links
yeah, we can post
to
on the,
articles
right,
as well?
yeah, that we can do that too.
Both, yeah.
Right, but then you have to know that you need to check the Green Efforts page on the website, and I mean, we can post it, as you can do through Explore Farmington, but the newsletter goes to everyone in town, which is why that's usually kind of the best
Right.
paper newsletter that goes to everyone in town, but,
No, but still,
Right, but
I
still.
read it.
right.
I
so
do
some-
too.
Right,
I do
so
too.
sometimes that's better because it only comes every quarter, so you really, you know,
Yeah.
it's not like the weekly newspaper or anything like
Right.
that, or the Valley Press, which is bi-weekly.
Could we put, like, if we can't get more space, could we put a QR code that goes to the website?
Sure.
Right in there?
Yeah, we can,
That would,
so we do that basically for the cleanup, where it's a little blurb, you scan the QR code, it brings you to the sign up, which has more information, dates, times, locations, everything like that. So we could definitely, that's easy to do, if we wanna put something on the town website, and then do kind of an abstract, little, you know, one paragraph, you know, information, and then scan the QR code to learn more.
Right.
Sometimes people will do that too.
So, Bree, I have a question on the, plastics. We said here that, not much plastic gets recycled,
Yeah.
most, is that because people don't recycle it?
No,
Or when they do recycle it, it gets taken out and put,
No, because, there's just no way of recycling. I mean, there's no end.
so when people put things in their recycling bin, and
Some
it go,
gets
gets picked up,
recycled.
and some of that plastic doesn't get recycled,
Doesn't get recycled.
is there any way to tell what's what?
I didn't research that, but I
Okay.
think, you know, once upon a time, you had that little green, that little triangle, and I would have 1, 2, 3. Some of those do get recycled, but others do not.
anything that's black does not get recycled.
So black plastic is about the only thing I don't recycle. But,
Plastic
Yes.
bags don't, you can't, that
Yeah,
could be a
yeah.
problem.
Plastic bags of any sort
I don't.
get recycled.
It depends on the month too, of which who's accepting it too, so I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm not monthly, but I know that that's a problem too, is if you've got someone accepting it,
Right.
you can't just have it sit, because that was a problem. Was it during COVID? We used to ship everything to China, and then
Right.
China stopped
Yeah.
accepting everything,
Yeah.
because they used to bring it there for
Good for them.
recycling, and they stopped accepting it.
I just read a fascinating piece. Sweden has no garbage.
Yeah.
And they have to import recycling to keep their recycling plants going. So they import garbage so that they can keep recycling plants going.
Yeah, there's actually, currently we don't have any space on the Green Efforts Commission, but I had been contacted by someone that's interested in joining. And she had just lived in Denmark for 2 years,
Mhm.
because her husband's from there, so they've got like 8 trash cans. For,
Mhm.
this is your glass, this is your white glass,
Right.
clear glass, this is your brown glass, this is your green glass,
Right.
everything like that, about how it's 2 bins in the United
Yeah.
States, and you just throw everything away.
You need a
Right.
dump spot?
Yeah.
You can take mine. No, seriously, I mean, I would still be involved, but I'm doing enough green efforts elsewhere.
I've got someone that hasn't been showing up, so
Okay.
I'll talk to someone about that. Yeah, no. So, anyway.
Moving on.
Moving on, so Bree, I'll put that in for the summer newsletter. If it's too long, I'll just abstract it down, I know you've got like some quick things, so we can, take a few.
Right.
Like bullet points?
Yeah, do like,
Yeah.
a sentence from each one of those groupings, and then do a QR code and post it on the website,
Right.
saying more information, and then you've done your some research. Is that all right if we just do that under other?
Sure, I can certainly winnow it down.
That's fine, you've done the work, I feel bad.
Oh, no.
Anyway, so I'll just blurb it out a little bit, and then we'll just put everything on the Green Efforts page and do a QR code so people want to learn more. All right, waste reduction. I have some good news. Westwood has composted 2,000 pounds of waste
Oh, wow.
in the 17 school days in April.
Oh,
So only
Wow.
17 days, that's how much they composted.
This says a lot about food waste.
Exactly. Let's see. I'll send a link out with the minutes, that the students did. It's the same reason we talked about earlier, not putting kids up on, out in the public, if parents aren't aware, that kind of thing. So I'll just send out the link to the video that Tara sent, with the kids, using the composting station.
oh, that was great.
About that. Actually had a district meeting at Westwoods, and a couple of the administrators from other buildings are looking to expand the program to their schools. I think one of the
Ooh.
elementary school principals was looking at that,
Which
so.
one's the what?
Just said one elementary school principal.
Oh.
She
Oh,
didn't
good.
say which
Probably
one.
Bill Wallace.
Yeah, probably not.
Mhm.
And then Tara was also, I'll share this with everyone as well, Tara was just saying how they had done classes with the William Trust at the Wilcox Bushley Homestead. So that, Kate wants to talk about that at all.
Well, I would love to get Green Efforts involved next year, because I think we'll be doing it again next year, but we hosted, almost 400 second graders on our property, the Wilcox Bushy Homestead Learning Center, over 2 weeks. They would come in groups of 2 classes a day. Bree was actually a volunteer, which was wonderful. And we put them through the paces, 3 classes in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, and covered a wide range of kind of topics around pollination and the need for pollinators, and also for stewarding land. It was fantastic.
And some of it was in Spanish.
Well, it was in Spanish, we did some yoga that was, they were being little pollinators, we had pollinator, races, and, I mean, we did everything from A to Z.
Did all the elementary schools participate?
Every single public school, second grader, got to come on our property,
Excellent.
yeah. Really great.
Back to composting for a minute.
Oh, sorry, Bree.
No, I was just curious what, efforts are made to get restaurants to come.
There is a state statute. I don't remember the statute exactly, I'll find it, but there is a requirement that if you are within a certain amount of miles of a facility that accepts composting, you have to send your food waste there.
Oh.
I don't remember what the It's, I don't think it's like it's a big area, maybe like 10 miles or something. Part of, we'll skip over discussion on littering signs and adopt a road, because that's nothing coming, so I was interested in that. Senate Bill 191, in addition to proposing requiring, composting, would have expanded that radius as well for restaurants. Unfortunately, it passed the Senate, it did not make it to the House, so it never got voted on in the House, so it never passed. I mean, I think there's something the governor can do, but I don't think it's high enough on the priority list. Problem is, it's a short session, so there wasn't as much. I know I was tracking 8 other bills unrelated to composting, unrelated to planning, and most of them didn't even make it out of
Most of
committee.
the environmental stuff didn't either.
Right,
Yeah.
which is the same thing. I mean, you know, hundreds of bills get proposed, they're not all gonna make it to a vote, but they really, everything kind of just gets the last 2 days, and it all just ends up on the floor.
Bree, on this, your, trash talk document here, you talked about, Blue Earth was working with several restaurants in Farmington already?
Right, but they are, apparently, but I don't know who they're working, which restaurant.
I'm wondering if there's some way we could connect into those restaurants and give them some good publicity.
Yeah.
And a Green Efforts Prize.
Right.
love it. Why not?
Something like that.
We were doing
And
those a while back.
and maybe work some program to get them to connect with other restaurants.
Yeah,
Right.
and show how easy it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great, that'd be a
Love
wonderful
that.
idea.
I didn't know there were some restaurants doing it.
Yeah, but I don't know how many.
Right, I think there's like a certain threshold where you have to do it and you don't have to do it. It's probably, I think it's based on size or something like that. Because if it's just a deli, you know, throwing out some extra, you know, turkey that fell on the floor, it doesn't really need to get cut. So that's not gonna make a huge difference, but if it's a place like the Wooden Tap or something, where, you know,
Right.
where you're throwing out half a burger every table.
And grocery stores.
Gosh,
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, there's lots that get.
Yeah, so part of that, again, the Senate bill didn't pass, I think it was adding, grocery stores in as well. It was really expanding it. I know there's a few things thrown around, you know, amendments, and then, like I said, it passed the Senate, but it never made it to the House as far as I'm aware, so it didn't get voted on.
Well, how do the businesses pay for their trash removal?
They contracted out with a private company.
Is it by pound?
I don't know. I've gotten,
That's worth finding out.
yeah,
So if
it's probably, but it's,
Blue Earth took all their composting away, made their trash lighter, it would pay for it, them to do it that way.
you should check it out.
that,
Find it out,
so I
John.
know with the schools, the hope is that you know, if the dumpster gets collected twice a week, and now it's dropped down to once a week and one composting pickup, then that would be a cost saving. So that's probably, it may not be, weight-based, it could mostly like be just
Receptacle.
how often it gets picked up.
Okay.
You know, it depends on, you know, town hall probably gets picked, I think it gets picked up once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. It doesn't, so it's a small dumpster too, and it's not a,
Right,
I know there's a lot of people here, but we don't generate that much trash.
right.
Aside from paper, which mostly gets recycled.
And I don't know what restaurants and grocery stores, what sort of receptacle they would put their stuff in. And what you're putting it in a dumpster, it's go into.
No, they've got the barrels, they roll them
Oh.
in there and they put them out in a, what do you call it, shed, until Blue
Oh,
Earth
I
comes and
see.
picks them up.
Okay.
Yeah, so that way it's protected from animals.
Right.
They've got like
Yeah.
really garbage can size, they brought those to our
I
event.
see, right, okay,
Yeah.
right. I remember that from the video. But,
Right, sorry, Bree. Anything else from compost and research?
no,
Okay.
no, not at the moment, although I did find a Hartford Current article on Bill 191, which would make food scrap recycling mandatory. But if that's been passed, then we just have to work on our representatives.
I know, we gotta keep our finger on the pulse of that, so we
Yeah,
can
right.
respond.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't see it going away either, so I'll
No.
just keep an eye out with, when the next round comes up.
Well, just think about it, because we're shipping stuff to Ohio. I mean, that is a long way to go, and that's a lot of gas to use, and that's a big, heavy truck, and
Right.
it seems like we could do.
And I think some of it is just, in reading through some of the opposition, it was mainly that the deadline of 2028, which is really 3 years, because it goes into effect October 1st. Basically, you know, it's essentially 3 years at that point where you have to comply. That doesn't really give enough time for businesses or the facilities or anything like that to scale up to now accommodate a whole state for the compost. Because right now it's mainly voluntary.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the infrastructure isn't here, yeah.
Right, so I don't know what the ultimate capacity of the digester in Southington is. I'm sure it's not enough to take all of Farmington, Avon, Canton, Berry, Plainville, Southington, Berlin, you know, all that,
Right.
everything, because that's really
Right.
there's only a few companies that accept it right
So
now.
I had this little fantasy that Farmington would build its own. I mean, it powers.
Well, Dunning tried to do it, and
Oh, I
they
know.
got castigated
Wow.
Yeah,
once, they run out of town.
Farmington's hard because it's mainly developed. What is available is either in floodplain or wetlands, so it's not really suitable for anything like that. There's groundwater, aquifer, it's called the Aquifer Protection Area,
Right.
concerns with limit industrial. There's a whole list of prohibited uses. It's all floodplain. So the plant was built up because we knew it flooded there. And the plant has to go to the lowest point in town because that way everything flows downhill. But it's actually, it just goes right around the treatment plant, the floodplain. The driving range across the street is almost all in floodplain.
And all the maps just got redone, right?
Yeah, they're not effective yet.
That might be a thing,
90-day.
get all the compost in the floodplain, every spring we're all done.
It's going downstream.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not our
Up in
problem.
Simsbury now.
That's right.
There's some wetlands.
So you can see, this is the main treatment area that was all built up, and then everything outside of that is the 100-year floodplain. Right, so. Weird.
Where's the, that's the 100-year
Hmm.
in,
Yeah, and
Not
like,
current
and like
100
Kate
year,
said,
they
it's
just changed
it's getting updated.
uh,
The treatment, I think the treatment plant got raised up a little bit, but for the most part, everything around it is, and there's a reason why the flats are all farmland, so
yeah.
it all floods, so, you actually can't build in most of it, so. That's the problem. It's either wetland, floodplain, owned by the town, owned by the land trust, or owned by some other private entity. Difficult, and I know there's also some separating distances you need because they can get, you know, the fumes and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think the one in Southington is on like 20 acres or something.
Yeah, I
in
haven't
a
been there, I should go.
rural
look.
area, yeah,
That would be a field trip.
Right.
And Tons of Smee's all, floodplain,
all floodplain.
even up the hills?
So there's all the soccer fields.
Yep.
Got that there, but then if it's on town property, you need to have someone that does it, is monitoring it. You need a team monitoring it, you need testing, you need temperature regulation, everything like that, to make sure the bacteria gets killed for when you're composting like meats and stuff like that. It's gotta reach a certain temperature, so that's a whole other
Right.
process that the town's not into right now. But yeah, all the fields and everything is all,
You know, I know the fields, I just know at the dump, you drive up the hill there.
right,
It's
yeah,
considerably higher than the fields.
right. Done before, I think,
For wetlands legislation.
yeah, that
too.
too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, never mind, I'm thinking of Plainville. Plainville has a dump that's small Plainville. That's not the key here. So that's why Plainville's built up, because it's all trash underneath. I don't think anyone's ever approached us. I know, someone was looking at one in Plainville a few years ago, but there wasn't really anywhere to fit it. It was a different type of setup, because I remember I talked to another town in Massachusetts, and they said it gets pretty stinky when it gets up and running. So it's like way off in the middle of nowhere, and Plainville's pretty dense, so it wasn't really a spot in Plainville to fit it. So that's the concern of that. There's also odors and stuff like that associated, it makes it harder to site, especially in a town like Farmington, which is pretty well developed.
Thinking of places that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's kind of this whole area, of the state is the problem, because there's not really anywhere else to put it, because it's either developed or floodplain, or mountains. So,
Right, well.
sorry.
You know, my husband's always saying, Farmington is almost all developed, and I'm like, well, how come all these housing developments?
All the easy stuff is developed. All the easy stuff's been developed, so, left is for the developer to figure out, so. All right, last thing, we're just gonna bump up to the minutes. Breathe here now.
Sorry to be late.
No, you're fine. Get a motion in a second.
I'll have a motion to accept them.
Second.
So in the minutes, it says it was an online meeting.
I was on.
Oh, thank you, John. It should say hybrid meeting.
Hybrid
I'm sorry.
meeting.
Thank you.
If someone reads it.
I don't need those kind of details.
Yeah, I changed the date, I checked the attendance, and I do the minutes. That's really that's how it happened. So, all right, so, Kate, you agree to that change? Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Minutes are approved. All right. Anything else?
What's SB 191?
That was Senate Bill 181, that was the composting bill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Knew you were talking about a bill, I didn't realize the number.
Yeah, sorry about that. And then Bree had there called about it too. All right, just a reminder, because the July meeting sometimes lines up with the 4th of July, we don't meet in July, so our next meeting will be August 6th.
And I won't be here. I know that ahead of time. I'll be in Alaska.
Nice.
Fun.
One thing I wanted to just throw out there is whether the efforts committee start working on getting us on the pollinator pathway. It doesn't, the town has to be involved with it.
Yes.
Whether we could be part of starting to work on that.
Let me,
Farmington can get designated. It's a process.
yes, I know, and I know Canton did it.
And I think Simsbury, I mean, there's a lot of towns that have done it. Yeah.
What does doing it mean?
You set up an area, it's usually along the bike trail, where you just plant native plants that are friendly for pollinators.
And then you encourage the people who live
Yeah.
here and.
Yeah, Canton's, I think, is right off of River Road, if I remember correctly.
Because we already have, the Land Trust already has a pollinator garden and a bird-friendly garden, both
Right,
of which,
yeah.
and I'm sure a lot of people do, so I think once we
Right.
started to investigate.
Right,
And
and
also,
I,
you can laud people who already are doing it without
Right.
even knowing it,
Right.
you know?
right, so, and, yeah. Now, let me,
It'd be a good it's,
yeah, let me, add that to the list, and I'll start looking into that.
You know, it's interesting because many years ago, was part of the Garden Club of Hartford delegation that went to Washington to meet with your senator and representative. And one of the things that we were working on were pollinator issues. And we were advocating to turn all the roads that that are on highways, just, where they're always out mowing and everything. And they said they were going to do that, and I don't know whether it ever went anywhere. My husband's reaction was, "Are you kidding? All those splats on your windshield?" But anyway.
I think part of the problem with that is that, because it's such a large area, that the invasives end up just taking Because I
Yeah.
know we've had, like Hartford Healthcare that bought, 9
Right.
Farm Springs, they cleared everything along the, and it was all knotweed, and it was all,
Mhm.
bittersweet, it was all invasive, there's dead trees and everything like that, so that's the hard part of doing that, is the invasives end up taking over. I mean, you get them in your lawn,
Right.
if you got woods on your property, you get them at the edge of your property anyway, so
Right.
that makes it hard. But doing, you know, in a controlled area where it's maintained, everything like that, and or it's like the Land Trust property, we got people there all the time anyway, so.
Yeah, there's different ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll look into that. All right, Darren?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. Aye.
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 All right. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.